Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a topic that feels ripped straight from sci-fi, but honestly, it's becoming our day-to-day reality. We're talking about AI showing up more and more in our workplaces, and the really critical ethical questions it raises. Forget the usual office gossip. We're looking at this big shift toward, well, what some people are calling a robot-managed future.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive, to really get under the hood of the ethics of workplace AI. We're using insights from this fantastic piece, Ethical AI, the Future of Transparent Work. And it kicks off with this image, asks you to imagine a world where your performance review is conducted by HAL 9000's corporate cousin, and your lunch break is optimized by an algorithm that thinks humans run on lithium batteries. It's quite a picture. A bit unsettling, maybe.
Oh, definitely. That opening line hits hard because, the spoiler alert from the document is basically, we're already in that world. The question isn't if AI is going to weave itself deeper into your workplace. It already is. It's much more about the ethical side. What are the rules now? How do we make sure things stay fair, transparent, and, keep people in the loop? Agency matters.
Okay, let's unpack this AI work revolution then, because
Yeah.
it often sounds like something way off in the future, right?
Yeah.
But the Force makes it clear it's happening now.
Mm.
Where are you seeing the biggest impacts? Like right now, today?
You're absolutely right. It's not future gazing, it's current reality. And the report, it flags a few key areas where AI is really changing the game, sometimes in ways you don't even notice at first.
Let's take the first one you mentioned, hiring algorithms. The document has that witty line, because nothing says human touch, like being rejected by a bot that can't spell your name.
Mm.
That's more than just making things faster, isn't it? It feels like a total rewrite of how careers even begin.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. An algorithm is the first gatekeeper. It scans resumes, maybe analyzes video interviews, looks at test scores. It's optimized for certain things, keywords, whatever. But what if those keywords come from old data? Data that already, favored certain groups or schools? The AI doesn't just copy that bias. It scales it up massively. A tiny thing, like maybe a spelling mistake that a human would overlook. The AI might just bin the application. So a really great candidate might never even get seen by a person. It really changes who gets a foot in the door.
And it doesn't stop once you're hired, right?
Yeah.
Then we get into performance monitoring. The report's description is pretty stark. Your every keystroke tracked by systems that think bathroom breaks are inefficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
What does that level of monitoring actually mean beyond just trying to boost productivity?
Oh, it's way beyond just logging your hours. We're talking about AI looking at who you email, the sentiment in those emails, even things like facial recognition on video calls to see if you're engaged enough. Now, it's often framed as, helping optimize things, but the hit to privacy, to just feeling like a human being, it's huge when you know every click, every message, maybe even your tone of voice is being fed into an algorithm. It can create this really intense pressure, kind of dehumanizing maybe. That line between work and, you gets incredibly blurry. And the stress of that constant watching, we're still figuring out the impact.
Okay, and then there's this thing the document calls the black box mystery. It says even the programmers don't know why the AI promoted Kevin from accounting. What are the real consequences when decisions are made, but nobody can explain why? Especially with promotions or things like that.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is how this black box issue connects everything, the hiring, the monitoring. When an AI makes a big call, who gets an interview, who gets promoted, maybe who gets flagged as underperforming, and you literally can't see the logic, that's a huge problem for accountability, right? How do you challenge a decision if the reasons are hidden inside the algorithm? It just kills trust. And how do you even fix it if the AI is making biased or just plain weird choices? It's not just about transparency. It's about our basic ability to understand why important things happen at work.
Right. So AI is here, it's powerful, it's immediate. But with that power comes a whole mess of ethical questions. This is where our deep dive gets really interesting, uncovering those dangers, the minefields AI can create if we're not careful.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest risks the report points out is bias amplification. It puts it very bluntly. AI learned from humans, so naturally it's inherited all our worst hiring habits plus computational efficiency. And that efficiency part is key. AI learns from data. If that data reflects historical biases, like, say, hiring practices that systematically favored men for certain roles, the AI doesn't just learn that pattern, it applies it super fast across maybe thousands, millions of applications. So it's not just copying bias, it's putting it on steroids, making unfairness systemic, efficient, and often harder to spot.
Harder to spot, harder to fix. And speaking of things getting complicated, let's talk privacy. What privacy? The source uses that kind of funny but pointed example. Your coffee machine now reports to HR about your caffeine dependency issues. Maybe not the coffee machine yet, but it makes you think, right? What parts of our work life, or even just our habits at work, could be tracked now?
It's a moving target, honestly. It goes way beyond emails and clicks. Think about sensors tracking where you move in the office, how long your breaks are, who you talk to, maybe even analyzing your voice tone on calls for stress levels or facial expressions for mood. The lines are blurring so fast. That coffee machine example, maybe it sounds silly, but think about company wellness programs using wearables or smart buildings tracking everything. The potential for constant granular surveillance is real. It brings up huge questions. Who owns this data? Did you really consent? What even is private anymore in this connected workplace?
Okay, and connecting this to the bigger picture, I think a huge anxiety for a lot of people is job displacement anxiety. The report has that dark joke, don't worry, the robots promise they'll send you a nice thank you for your service email. It's meant to be funny, but it points to a genuine fear, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That AI will just take over jobs, not just factory work, but knowledge work too.
That fear is completely understandable. AI is getting better at tasks that used to need human thinking. Writing reports, analyzing data, even some creative work. This isn't just about one person losing their job, it's about potential massive shifts in the economy. You could end up with a big gap between the skills people have and the jobs that actually exist. It forces us to ask really big questions about education, about safety nets, about how society itself needs to change when whole categories of work might shrink or disappear. It's a societal challenge, much bigger than just individuals.
So what does this all mean then? We've seen how AI is woven into work, the ethical traps like bias and privacy invasion, even the potential for jobs to vanish. It can feel pretty overwhelming, maybe even a bit bleak. But the good news is, this document we're looking at, it doesn't just list the problems. It actually offers some solid building blocks for a better, more transparent AI future.
Exactly. It pivots to solutions. And the first big one is explainable AI, or XAI. The report uses that great analogy. Teaching robots to show their work, like elementary school math, except the stakes are your mortgage payments. Right. The goal is for the AI not just to spit out an answer, but to give us a clear reason why, in a way humans can grasp. Now, it's not as simple as showing your long division. Cracking open complex AI models, like deep learning networks, that's tough. It's about finding patterns in tons of data. So XAI is this whole field developing ways like special maps or tools to give us some idea of the AI's thinking. That way, we can check its logic, spot potential bias, and actually start to trust it. Especially when, the stakes are really high, like someone's career.
That makes sense. XAI showing the work.
Yeah.
But even if the AI can explain how it decided something, what if the lessons it learned were bad to begin with? That brings us to data provenance. Yeah?
Absolutely spot on. The document nails it. Knowing where your data came from is like checking the ingredients on processed food. Scary, but necessary. Think about it. An AI is only as good or as, ethical as the data it's trained on. Garbage in, garbage out, right? If the data is biased, incomplete, maybe just doesn't represent everyone fairly. The AI learns those flaws. So understanding the data's origin, where it came from, how it was collected, its quality is fundamental. It's about transparency right from the start, ensuring the AI's education is built on a solid, fair foundation.
And then there's the one that feels like it should be obvious, but maybe isn't always. Human oversight. The document puts it perfectly. Because someone needs to unplug the machine when it decides everyone should work on weekends for optimal productivity. It raises a key question, doesn't it? No matter how smart AI gets, where's the line? Who's ultimately in charge?
This is non-negotiable, really. AI should help humans make decisions, not take over completely, especially when ethics are involved. We need to build systems where people can monitor what the AI is doing, step in if needed, and pull the plug or override the decision. Imagine an AI diagnosing a patient. You still need a human doctor to review it, understand it, and make the final call. Or an AI suggesting layoffs, a manager has to look at that recommendation critically and take responsibility. It's about making sure technology serves us, not the other way around, and keeping humans accountable for impacts on other humans.
Okay, so those are the building blocks. Explainability, good data, human control. Now, how do we turn those principles into actual concrete strategies? How do we make sure AI is used fairly in practice?
Right. Moving from theory to action. The report suggests a few key things. First up, AI system audits. It calls them regular checkups for our metal coworkers. Think annual physicals, but for algorithms with commitment issues, which is kind of funny but accurate. These aren't just a one-off thing before you launch the AI. They need to be ongoing. Independent checks to see if the AI is fair, if it's protecting privacy, if it's developed any new biases over time because they can learn and drift. So regular audits, ideally by outside experts, are crucial to keep them on the straight and narrow.
I like that. Algorithms with commitment issues. Okay, so auditing the tech is one thing. What about the people? That brings us to employee empowerment. The document calls it teaching humans to speak robot. It's like learning a new language, except the grammar is binary. What does that look like for the average employee?
It really boils down to giving people knowledge and a voice. It means educating employees. How is AI being used here? What data about me is being collected? What are my rights? And crucially, how can I understand or even push back on a decision made by an algorithm? When the workforce is informed, they can spot problems, they can advocate for better practices, they can hold their employers accountable. It's about making sure people aren't just passive subjects of AI, but active participants in how it shapes their work.
And then the big one, maybe the foundation for everything else, policy and regulation. The report gets a bit sarcastic here, because apparently we need laws to tell robots not to discriminate. Who could have seen that coming? This goes way beyond just individual companies trying to do the right thing, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This is about setting the ground rules for everyone. Society needs to step up. We need clear laws and regulations at the local level, national, maybe even international, that govern how AI is designed, used, and overseen in the workplace. These rules need to embed ethical principles into law. There have to be clear consequences if companies misuse AI or are negligent. Without strong regulations, even good intentions can fall short, and the risk of things going badly wrong just grows.
Which brings us right back around to you, our listener. Because while all this sounds huge, policy, audits, XAI, this document is really clear. You have a role to play in shaping this future. It offers this powerful line. The future doesn't have to be a dystopian corporate hellscape run by robots who think lunch is a scheduling error. That feels like a call to action, doesn't it? Optimistic, but also, like, get involved.
It really is. It says we have agency, individually and together. And the first step the report suggests: ask the tough questions. It advises demand transparency from employers before the robots learn to give evasive answers. Basically, when AI shows up in your workplace, ask about it. How does it work? What data does it use? How do they check for fairness? Don't be afraid to dig in and understand the systems that affect your job.
And as you find out more, you can advocate for fairness. The document says, support companies building ethical AI. They're like unicorns, but with better documentation. Seek out, support, maybe even work for organizations that are genuinely trying to do AI responsibly. Your choices matter as an employee, a customer, just as a citizen.
And finally, maybe the most direct thing you can do, future-proof yourself. The advice here is pretty sharp. Keep learning, because the only thing worse than being replaced by a robot is being replaced by a poorly programmed robot. Look, the world of work is changing fast. Staying curious, picking up new skills, understanding how technology is evolving, that's going to be key to navigating what comes next, to staying valuable and adaptable.
Wow. Okay, that was quite the deep dive. We went from seeing how AI is already here, hiring, monitoring, to facing the ethical challenges head-on: bias, privacy, jobs. Then we looked at the building blocks for doing it right: explainable AI, knowing your data, keeping humans in charge, and finally, those concrete strategies, audits, empowering people, getting the rules right, and crucially, understanding your own part in all this.
Definitely. And maybe one last thought to leave you with. If we're talking about needing explainable AI at work, needing to understand why algorithms make decisions, how much do you apply that same thinking to the information you consume every day, online, on social media? Do you ever stop and ask, why am I seeing this content? Where did this information really come from? Is the source reliable? It's that same critical thinking, that demand for transparency. It's a skill that's valuable way beyond just the office walls.
That's a fantastic point. Really something to chew on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into ethical AI in the workplace. Keep digging, keep learning, keep asking those questions. We'll catch you on the next one.